What's up, guys? I see that I'm in trouble for being 1 minute late starting, so that's my bad. If it makes you feel any better, there's like a lizard in my house that my wife is very concerned about, that our cats are going to eat it or something, and she's trying to save its life. So that was a bit of a distraction for me in the last few minutes. Anyway, I'm just setting up the draft stream on my phone here because I didn't want to try to run it on my computer while I'm streaming. And also I need my other monitor. So hopefully that works. Draft here is going to be getting underway shortly. So let's go ahead and start talking about what happened yesterday. Let me just pop some of these messages in here. I've been sent to the principal's office by Yella. He says 7 p.m. stream, more like 7:01 stream. Absolutely got me. Austin says this is disgusting. Connor says Paul is big time, lives on his own time now. Exactly. I'm big time. I'm too important to meet my appointments, obviously. Got to be stylishly, fashionably late. That's the expression. Fashionably late. No, I was talking with Yella about non-stimulating children's shows so that your child doesn't turn into an iPad kid. So you can actually blame him. I was just trying to help him be a better father. All right, so let's just address the topic that has been occupying the chat since yesterday. Nate crashing out about Travis Hunter to the Jaguars. So let's just talk about this. What does this mean? Travis Hunter to the Jaguars. Why are we not freaking out about Brian Thomas? Okay, so here's the thing. Here's what we know. Brian Thomas, nearly a 1,300-yard receiver as a rookie, 10 touchdowns. He is very, very, very good. Elite wide receiver. He just is elite. By any measure, he's an elite wide receiver. We have no reason to doubt his talents. I'm just laughing at the parenting breakdown for $25. Okay, here's what we also know. The Jaguars had no other targets of consequence on the team. De'Ami Brown, Gabe Davis, Brenton Strange. Nobody else there to earn targets. Here's what we also know. We know that there has been precedent many times throughout fantasy football history of multiple high-end wide receivers on the same team in the same season. I pulled up basically like 30 instances, I think, since like 2011 of two wide receivers on the same team having 16 plus points per game. And that was with minimum 10 games played. So implying, a certain level of health there. It's happened a bunch. It's not just happened with elite quarterbacks. It's happened for Jay Cutler. It's happened for Ryan Fitzpatrick. Here's the deal. Okay. Targets are distributed in order that they are earned. So there is 100% of targets to go around. If you are the best wide receiver in the NFL, you can maybe possibly get 30%, maybe 31% of the targets. That's really where it tops out. All right. So that leaves 30. Okay. So let's say Brian Thomas gets 30%. Okay. That means there's still 70% to go around for whoever wants it, whoever can get it, right? Give the running backs 10%. Okay. 60% left. Travis Hunter has plenty of room to be as good as he is going to be. As good as he's going to be. There is no limit for him being as good as he wants to be. So that's the thing. They can both command elite volume and perform. It's really just about their talent levels. If you're not convicted on Brian Thomas's talent, okay, I disagree with you, but that's a different conversation than whether or not it's possible. The other thing is that Brian Thomas isn't really a high target share guy. What he is he's like a Jamar Chase type. You look at last year, like he had a high target share, especially for a rookie, but he's going to be more of a Jamar Chase type of producer where he's going to be efficient on a per target basis. He's going to work down the field as a true X receiver. He's going to score a lot of touchdowns. He's going to make big explosive plays and outperform his usage. That's how he wins. If you look at Jamar Chase's numbers last year, he had like a 22% target share. It's just that the passing volume was really high and he scored 17 touchdowns and he broke a bunch of deep plays. That's exactly how Brian Thomas can perform. And the passing volume is going to go up with Liam Cohen in town and with this investment in a wide receiver because the personnel is going to drive the decision making there. So they're going to pass a lot. Lawrence, I think, is totally capable of running a functional passing game when he actually has a real play caller. I'm not worried about this. Like, if there was any cause for concern, it would be, we're talking like 99th percentile outcome. Can Brian Thomas become Jamar Chase? Can he become Justin Jefferson if Travis Hunter is also a mega superstar? I mean, maybe not. But again, that's such a small part of the range of outcomes. Like in the vast majority, like 90+% of scenarios, this just isn't affecting how we should think about Brian Thomas. So that's my take. I don't think this matters. I'm not going to get too personal as far as like Nate's perspective or whatever, but I would say another way to think about this is just if you want to put it in number, like practical terms to make it seem a little bit less intense, like if you have 7 fantasy leagues and you have Brian Thomas in 4 of those leagues, let's say hypothetically this does hurt him, right? And let's say Brian Thomas getting a downgrade like hurts your EV in that league. You have like a 3% lower chance to win in your league. Okay, well, you take that 3% across 4 fantasy leagues, and then you look at the buy-in for that league. What's the max payout? I mean, what is the swing here? We're talking like a $15 swing in expected value for your fantasy portfolio. Like, that's nothing. Like, it's just not significant. So again, that's where I'm at with this. It just doesn't matter that much. I think we all need to calm down, and we're going to move on from that. So anyway, Jake says Mike Evans 24% target share and a cone run offense. Yeah, exactly. 30 something year old Mike Evans with the pretty high target share there. And by the way, current Brian Thomas is better than Mike Evans. He's more dynamic, in my opinion. You can't forget that Brian Thomas was very productive in college while playing with Malik Neighbors. Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, that's the take. We're gonna move on from that. I want to talk about the rankings that I put together. You guys maybe threw out a couple of criticisms or questions, so we'll get to those. I want to try to just real quick throw in. Let me just see if I can do this real quick. Throw in a little window view. Oops, that's not what I'm trying to do. Just ignore that. I'm just doing this on the fly because you guys are chill, and I don't really feel like doing anything fancy right now. So we're just gonna do this. We're gonna throw this in here while we wait for the Browns pick. Okay, here we go. Here's the rankings as they stand right now. I know the pick is in for Cleveland, so we'll talk about that in a second if it's fantasy relevant. We got Genty in tier 1. Then we got Hampton, Hunter, McMillan in tier 2, Cam Ward in tier 3, Loveland, Igbuka tier 4, Dart and Warren in tier 5, Golden in tier 6. I may end up expanding the tiers a bit. The way that I was thinking about this is as I was slotting the players into the overall Dynasty rankings, I started to feel like there was too much of a gap between some of these players. I'm not going to do that. There's too much of a gap between some of the players to keep them in the same rookie tier, but I think I'm going to change that back and let it span a little bit further. Like, I think I am going to have Loveland, Igbuka, Dart, and Warren in the same tier. So probably going to do that. But the thought process is that there was a little bit of a tier break in the overall rankings. So I have Hampton, Hunter, and McMillan as like early 3rd round startup picks right now. maybe a little bit aggressive. You guys let me know if you think that's aggressive. I think it's fine. I think Hampton is borderline RB4 or 5 in Dynasty. I think he should be ahead of Saquon. Hunter and McMillan I have as this borderline wide receiver ones in Dynasty. Personally, I'm not that inspired by the absolute ceiling outcomes for Marvin Harrison or JSN. I think those guys are fine. I guess I wouldn't fault anyone for preferring them, but I just think I'm probably more willing to just take the swing. Given the draft capital that these guys have, they're going to be pretty insulated, as we've seen from JSN and Marvin Harrison. So why not take the swing on the blank slate? I know the Browns took a linebacker, whatever. They have another pick in 4 picks. We'll see what happens. I'm not too worried about it. So that was my thought process. So then I had Ward further down next to Lawrence and McCarthy. I have him after those two guys. So in terms of overall ranks, I do have a little bit of a drop off between those 3 skill players and then Cam Ward. That being said, like, quarterback's a weird position in Superflex. If you don't have the flexibility in your league to get a quarterback another way, I can understand taking Ward, potentially over one of these guys. So I think that's understandable. I'm also still kind of playing around with where I have Tet in relation to the other two. I do think that I have him 4th, and I'm going to keep him there. I might flip Hunter to 102 over Hampton. I'm not sure. I might flip and I might move Tet down a little bit from the other two guys. They're still going to be in the same tier, but I might move him down behind, let's say, AJ Brown, possibly. Maybe JSN. I don't know. I don't know if I will, though. I think I like him a lot with the top 10 draft capital. So maybe I won't do that. Let me see what else we got going on here. Do I believe Najee Harris eats into Hampton's workload year 1? I think Najee Harris is basically just Rachaad White. Pretty similar situation. So I think he might get a little bit of work early in the season as like a trusted veteran, and then it'll gradually work towards Hampton's favor, and eventually he's going to take over and just have a huge opportunity share. Could be a big winner down the stretch. I don't think Hampton will be like RB1 production from day one. One second. Okay, we got a little bit of a development here. Big development here. Jaden Higgins is going to the Houston Texans. That is interesting. Actually, kind of love that for Jaden Higgins. That's kind of sick because, I mean, not only is the draft capital really good, but here's the thing about Jaden Higgins. Like, if you pay attention to what Matt Harmon says, comparing him a little bit to Keon Coleman, I think that's a little harsh, just given the difference in athleticism, and the production is way better. But if you look at so what Matt Harmon said is that Higgins could actually excel if you gave him a little bit more slot work, let him play as like a big slot. But the problem is most teams were going to view him as an X receiver because that's what you're looking for with that big 6'4" guy, 215 or whatever he is. But when you have Nico there who can play X, they'll probably be able to put Higgins in the slot a decent bit, which is going to raise his floor, as opposed to, the Bills taking Keon Coleman and trying to throw him out there at X receiver. I think this is actually great for him. And yeah, Christian Kirk is there. I'm not saying he's going to play in the slot all the time, but I think he will rotate into the slot and Kirk will come out sometimes. So anyway, that's kind of a cool fit. I like that a lot. And that's definitely going to put Higgins up a bit. But yeah, I think Higgins, overstimulated right now. I've got the stream going on below me. Drake London plays a good bit of slot, and physically they're pretty similar, right? So it's not out of the question at all that he could slide inside, and he was actually very efficient in the slot at Iowa State. He didn't play as much. Jalen Noel played in the slot a lot, but when Higgins played in the slot, he had a higher yards per route run than Noel did in the slot. He was actually more efficient as a slot receiver than Jalen Noel. So I think he can absolutely do that. And I think this is pretty sick, actually. I'm a big fan. Now, sucks for Luther Burden, another wide receiver going ahead of him, but it is what it is. Yeah, unfortunately, Austin does make a great point here. Higgins and Nico do both suck now. They cannot succeed together. So Nico, the good news for Nate is that now that Higgins is in Houston, Nico actually moves back under Brian Thomas. So Brian Thomas actually is a winner in this scenario here. So that's good news. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Obviously, that's a joke. I'm not moving down Nico Collins. I'm not worried about it. And Nate, I'm sorry for bullying you, but it was pretty funny. Seattle traded up here on the clock at 35. Interesting. I just traded away a Sam Darnold share today. It would be pretty funny if they took Shedeur Sanders. Anyway, looking at the rest of these ranks, I feel very strongly about my top 5. I feel pretty strongly that Ward is kind of in a tier of his own, and he's closer to the tier 2 than he is to the tier 4. Now, I did post a bit of a provocative take on Twitter that I've come to become very convinced about at this point, which is that Colson Loveland, I think, is the Dynasty tight end 3. I think that he should be, because I think Sam Laporta is frankly, I mean, he's been insanely overvalued for a while, but I think I was even overvaluing him a little bit. When we step back and actually look at what Sam Laporta did last year, I think it's pretty concerning. First of all, he only ran 70% of the routes. He saw no increase in his route participation from year 1 to year 2. He ran 71% of the routes, I believe, which was like 9th or 10th of the position. So it's not like it's super low, but Bowers was at 80%. And, keep in mind, that's as a rookie. McBride was at 87%. You're really trying to get up there into the like upper 70%, 80% range to be that elite fantasy tight end. And then you consider, even on a per route basis, he wasn't that impressive. Like, he was better than Kincaid because he did run more routes, but Kincaid had a higher targets per route than Laporta. Laporta was at 0.2, which is like fairly pedestrian. And his yards per route run was just fine. It wasn't insanely impressive. And like, when you consider that he was in the best offense in the NFL for the past 5 years, literally the highest scoring offense of the last 5 years, that's kind of concerning. He was the tight end 7 in points per game, and he wasn't even close to tight end 6. Like, Kelsey was 6 at 15.3, and then it dropped off a cliff to Sam Laporta at 12.8 points per game. And he is the 3rd target in that offense. Jamison Williams broke out last year. He proved that he is the 1B, or the 2, the wide receiver 2, the second receiver in that offense. I don't know what to expect from Laporta when like everything points to the Lions offense being worse. Like, it can't get better. Jared Goff threw for 4,700 yards and 37 touchdowns last year. Like, that was the best season of his career. He's not improving from there. I just don't know what there is to gain with Laporta other than some like hypothetical safety because he's young and he's, has a floor of talent, but he's not. I don't see a scenario where he's going to be a difference-making tight end anytime soon. I'd almost just rather take the swing on Colson Loveland because we don't know for sure how good Rome Odunze is. It's totally possible that Colson Loveland could become the second best target earner in that offense. And at least we know that Loveland's going to have an easier time coming in at his cost of acquisition and then gaining value. So in terms of like in a vacuum, I would much rather have Loveland at his cost than Laporta at his perceived market value, which is like around the 103, 104 pick right now. So that's where I'm at with Loveland. I still think Chargers would have been a better spot just because there isn't a second target earner there. And so that would really raise the ceiling. But when you're talking about him as a rookie, where there's still a lot of room for things to change, I think Chicago is a pretty good spot, especially with Ben Johnson. So I'm hearing the Seahawks took a boring player, so we'll just move on from that. Jake, this is a good question. Where are you going to take Loveland in a full point tight end premium? I think I don't know if I could push him any higher. Maybe over Ward. I don't know if I could take him over these prospects, Hampton, Hunter, McMillan. I don't know if I could do it because like I do still have sort of this. There are still some ceiling concerns. Yeah, I think I would have him in the tier with Ward, potentially ahead of Ward, but I don't know for sure. Well, that's the problem, Tristan. I don't like watching defense. I watch red zone. I watch NFL red zone. I'm only watching defense if it's the team the Eagles are playing. I guess the defense is on the field on red zone too, huh? There's always a defense on the field. That was kind of a stupid thing to say. I'm not paying attention to the defense, though. Definitely not paying attention. And I don't know any of these prospects because my entire life's goal is just knowing the wide receivers, the quarterbacks, the tight ends, and the running backs. So I don't know. I only knew like 10 non-fantasy relevant prospects in this class, and this guy's not one of them. So he's boring to me. And I want as many guys drafted on day 2 as possible to make my 3rd round rookie picks look good. Oh gosh. Jake just tipped the pick. Is this for real? Oh gosh. Oh my gosh. Wow. Quinshon Judkins. They wanted their Nick Chubb, I guess. Wow. They wanted their Nick Chubb. I love that because I want as many of these guys going early as possible. I also kind of love it because I feel like the market's going to be a little higher on him than me. I mean, don't get me wrong. You have to be high on Quinshon Judkins as the 36th overall pick to a backfield this open. Like, trust me, I don't get me wrong. Like, I'm high on him. But I think other people are going to be higher than me. And so if it pushes people down that I want, I'm not going to be too mad about that. But yeah, so the Browns don't go quarterback. This is kind of unprecedented what they're doing right now. I kind of love it because, like, are they just leaning into a full tank? Like, they've got Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco. Is that their plan, really? I don't know. Maybe they think Tyler Shuck will be there in round 3. But that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty crazy. It would be nice. Tia's saying this right now. It would be nice if Shedeur goes to the Saints. You know, just a little bit of a floor raiser for Chris Olave, which is really what I care about. I don't really care where Sanders actually plays, but it would be kind of nice if he goes to the Saints for Olave's sake, because I don't want Spencer Rattler throwing the ball all year. Chris, what's up, man? You didn't say anything. I didn't know you were even here. Browns taking Judkins is huge. That's true. Definitely true. You know, RIP to the Jerome Ford bags, obviously. But yeah, what I'm thinking about right now is Henderson to the Bears. Let's get Henderson on the Bears. Who's up next? We've got Raiders and Patriots up with the next 2 picks. Absolutely dream scenario. We get Luther Burden to the Pats. We get Henderson to the Bears right after that. That's what we want. Make it happen, please. Let's make it happen. Austin wants to know about Hunter versus Tet. Yeah, let's talk about Hunter versus Tet. Yeah, so as you guys know, I do not currently have a prospect model. So, you know, this is trusting the work of others. I can look at certain metrics and, like, you know, I can decide what I care about and whatever, but I don't, you know, I'm doing a little bit of guesswork when I'm evaluating prospects. I'm kind of estimating things. And I think that works totally well enough when it comes to rookie drafts. Like, it's not an exact science. But guys like JJ, guys like Ron Stewart do make it into more of an exact science with their rookie prospect models. And they're super cool. I love seeing what comes out from that because it's like this, you know, this standardized process. And they both kind of say, like, Tet looks really good. He's not like a can't miss, like, blue chip, you know, perfect prospect. He's like a slightly worse version of Drake London, which is great. That's a great player. And with top 10 draft capital, that's an awesome guy to get. It just feels like Travis Hunter has the ability to be extremely special because, like, Tet's numbers are better on paper, but when you consider all of the context around Hunter, I do think that it makes a lot of sense. And it's totally different to me than, like, the Matthew Golden cope of, like, well, actually Quinn Ewers was bad and actually they didn't want to throw him the ball until the end of the season, whatever. Like, Hunter literally played cornerback full time, practice as a cornerback, didn't even practice as a wide receiver, and they just literally threw him out there and were like, run these routes, and he did, and he got open, and he had like an insanely high contested catch rate, insanely good separation, third best prospect in Matt Harmon's reception perception ever, compared him to prime Odell Beckham Jr. Like all this stuff sort of stacks up, and then you look at his like expected yards per out run when you take away screen plays where he was literally out there as a decoy to catch his breath. You take away, you look at his expected yards per out run because he was always on the field with 4 or 5 wide receivers, which artificially like deflates your per out metrics because those players are way better target earners than tight ends and fullbacks and running backs. It's basically the opposite of Jaden Higgins and Jalen Noel, who are like the only 2 wide receivers on the field ever for Iowa State, which inflates their numbers. It deflates his numbers. So you take all that into account. The guy just looks like a unicorn. Like he genuinely is a one-of-one type of prospect, and then he goes second overall to a team that traded their entire franchise to get him and says he is a wide receiver first. So he's the highest drafted wide receiver of all time, and he's going to a team that I just think, frankly, has a much, much higher offensive ceiling. Like, I don't care that he's not, quote-unquote, the wide receiver 1 on his team. I think that being the wide receiver 2, quote-unquote, for the Jaguars can be a much more valuable role for fantasy than being the wide receiver 1 on the Panthers. We saw this with Chris Godwin last year. Like, this offense has an extremely high ceiling. I don't think the Panthers have top 5 offense in their range of outcomes. I don't even think they have top 10 offense in their range of outcomes, if we're being for real. So I just think Ted is a little bit, like, maybe is a little bit safer. But I think Hunter is still extremely safe because I like, again, they have said that he's going to play wide receiver first, and I just think it's extremely unlikely that he's going to fail at that. So I think he's pretty safe, and I'm very happy to take him over Tet. Tristan says Hunter is definitely more talented, higher ceiling. You don't have to worry about Tet getting hurt and playing a boring position as well as wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how big the injury risk is going to be or how they're going to handle that. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What I know is a lot of analysts that I really like, Jacob Sanderson, Ron Stewart, are pushing for Travis Hunter ahead of Tet, and I am inclined to follow suit. So I think JJ might even do it. So look, maybe it's groupthink or whatever, but I'm on board with the upside case here. And I think if one of these guys does become a Lamb, Puka type of wide receiver value, I think it's more likely to be him. Whereas, yeah, I think Tet maybe has a good shot to be like a London Lad McConkey type of guy. So I don't know. That's where I'm at with it. That's where I'm sitting right now. Dolphins took an offensive lineman. This is not a womp womp. This is huge. They need to draft. They should be drafting offensive linemen every single round to protect Tua and also to open up some running lanes for Devon Achane. So, and also to rescue my Jalen Waddle shares. My goodness, offensive linemen for Miami all day. I don't want them taking any skill players. That's for sure. Tim, I find this interesting that Judkins has been your RB2 of the class. I don't see it at all. I think he has a pretty shaky to poor prospect profile, even more poor when you factor in fantasy upside, where he was basically not used as a receiver. So I don't know. I don't really get that. I mean, I definitely can see him in that top 5, especially with the draft capital. He's locked in as a top 5 running back in this class. But yeah, I don't really get it. Yeah, this is where I'm at, right? Like, I mean, how many people, like Matt Harmon, Jacob Sanderson, Ron Stewart, probably JJ, I think, is going to rank him ahead. I don't know. It's enough for me. Like, it's just enough for me, you know, and I can totally see the case for it. I really don't think either of these guys is going to burn you, so I don't think it's like the biggest deal in the world who you decide to pick, but that's my take on it. Let me just check the member stream channel. I'm going to scroll way back up here to where I posted the first time and just see if there were other questions, because I don't really recall. One person asked, one of our newer league winners, RLEE3, R. Lee, I'm not sure. Maybe he's Robert E. Lee. I don't know. Henderson with early second capital may put him in front of Tet. Yeah, I don't think I'm doing this. Henderson to the Bears would probably stick him in that tier with Cam Ward, maybe even ahead of him. I don't know. But I don't think I would move him where those other guys are at. But we'll see. We'll wait till it happens and then we'll decide. Let's see. So we talked about Tet and Hunter. Other question. Oh, Clanger asked for the stream production expectations for Warren, Loveland, and where you think the community will slot them in now that we know their landing spots. Yeah, so I gave my take on Loveland. I've got him at tight end 3 in Dynasty, top of tier 4 at the moment. Only prospect I could really see passing him at this point is Henderson. We'll see where I rank Judkins. You know, my hands might be tied there. We'll see. But I think the community is going to rank Loveland more so 4 or 5. 4 or 5. Like, I could see people maybe preferring Hawkinson. I don't know. It's pretty dicey. I think he'll probably be tight end 4 in Dynasty by consensus. I think Warren maybe tight end 6, with it being kind of tightly grouped between Loveland, Hawkinson, Warren, and Kittle, like those 4 guys being kind of a tier. As far as production expectations, I mean, I have very little expectations for Tyler Warren this year. It's just they're going to be bottom 5 in pass attempts. I think Downs is going to be a better target earner. I think Pittman's going to bounce back a little bit. I just don't see how he has a big rookie season. Loveland, it remains to be seen. It kind of depends on how good Odunze is, I guess, and whether either of those guys gets hurt this year, because like that's always possible too. I wouldn't expect Loveland to be anything better than like a low end tight end 1. Oh God. Wow. Oh my gosh. Henderson to the Patriots. Holy crap, dude. That's crazy. Rip Ramondre. I really hope nobody was talking up Ramondre as a buy this offseason. That would be stupid. Wow. That's nuts. I did not see them going running back before round 3. I'm going to be honest with you, but that's that's awesome for Henderson. That's great. They gotta keep bulking up that offensive line, but man, tons of potential for targets there. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty sick. I mean, they should have taken Burden probably. I feel like they could use a receiving weapon more so than a running back, especially with the running backs that are going to be available in round 3. But yeah, Mike Vrabel, man. Vrabel. He wants his running back. Wow. Austin had a question about Tet and Loveland in Rome. Oh, discuss Loveland over Rome on stream and who should we target 104. Yeah, I mean, 104 seems like a great pick to have right now, even 105, because I think Cam Ward could potentially be ahead of a couple of these guys in a lot of drafts. So I do think 104, 105, those are great picks to target. Loveland over Rome is, the way that I was thinking about it is like, Rome scored 8.5 points per game last year. Ryan Heath looked at the last 15 years, and basically the biggest jump from year 1 to year 2 in points per game was 6 point something. Basically, it's pretty hard to project Rome for more than 13 to 14 points per game at the high end. We saw this from JSN. He scored 14.9 points per game after scoring 9 something as a rookie. That was a big jump. That was about the biggest jump you've seen. It's really hard to project him to do more than that. We just don't have a lot of precedent for it. And so we think about Loveland in a tight end premium format. It's not that big of an ask for him to get to 10, 11, 12 points per game as a rookie. It's totally possible. And if he's going to do that at a position that is so desperate for difference makers, I just think that it's possible. The market's going to prefer him, right? Like if Rome scores 14 points per game, like I don't know, maybe they're gonna steam him up and say, okay, he's gonna keep getting better, whatever. But if he's still sharing the receiving room with DJ Moore, doesn't he just fall more so into, like the Jordan Addison, Devonta Smith range? Like maybe he's at the top of that range, but I just don't know. I think it's a lot for Rome to really gain a lot of value from where he's sitting. I think I'd almost prefer Loveland just because, again, he plays a position of scarcity. And if they're going to score similar amount of points, I just want the guy that plays tight end, right? I just want the guy that's going to get me the positional advantage. So it's definitely a tight end premium specific take. They're not going to be next to each other in non-tight end premium. And it's still close between the two, but I do think I'd rather have Loveland at this point. To elaborate, Nicholas, 104, 105 seem like good picks to have because the way I have it ranked, I have Hampton, Hunter, and McMillan all back to back to back. And so basically, if you have 104, you're getting one of those guys. It's going to be the cheapest pick to acquire, but I have them all almost equally valued. And so it's like you're getting the best price on one of these tier 2 guys. And I think 105 could be the same way because I think in a lot of drafts, Cam Ward is going to go 3rd overall or 4th overall, and that's going to push one of Tet or Hunter would be the two most likely, I think, down to the 105 pick. And then you're getting an even better value. So I think those are the best picks to target. If you have a strong preference, obviously, then you need to get higher. But I have some 104 picks, and I'm going to be content to just kind of let people decide for me. That's my plan, at least. So yeah, I mean, Travion Henderson, like he is going to be probably my 6 overall. Probably going to put him in the same tier as Ward, ahead of Loveland. That's my guess. If I look at the rankings right now, Travion Henderson, I feel like he deserves to be like right here. He goes round 2. He goes pick 38. Goes to New England. We also got to get Jaden Higgins in here. He goes round 2, pick 30 what? 34 to Houston. You guys tell me if that's wrong. And then we get Judkins, round 2, pick 36 to Cleveland. Wow. Okay, so we're going to have some stuff to figure out here. I'm guessing it's going to look like something like this. And then we're going to put him... you can't see the whole thing. Hold on. Something like that. Probably going to put Higgins in tier 7. Although I'm probably going to combine 4 and 5. We'll see. T, no shot. T, say psych right now. There's no way they did this. There's no way they did this. No shot, dude. This is insane. Okay. Are you guys being so serious right now? What? What? Yellow, this is like so bad for you, dude. Yellow, this is like this is so terrible for you. Why are you hyping this up? This is awful. This is absolutely horrendous. This is Egbuka part 2. What is going on? Like at least in Tampa Bay the wide receivers are old. What are they doing here? Are you being for real? I need to see what people are saying about this. I don't know. I'm so confused, man. Okay. Sorry guys, kind of crashing out right now. No, I'm okay. I'm gonna figure this out for you guys. Just checking in on some tweets here. Jacob Sanderson kind of mirrors some of my thoughts about Higgins being a big slot F wide receiver. He makes a good point about Judkins that, like, if you're not a big fan of him, this isn't a terrible landing spot to fade because the offense doesn't have a huge amount of upside. So like you can fade him in this spot, and I'm gonna consider that. The Patriots, he also the Patriots in no position to take a running back top 40. Yeah, I mean, agreed. I need to know what people are gonna say about Luther Burden though. This is just this is just so insane. Like, this is so confusing. So the Bears now have DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, Colson Loveland, Cole Kmet. I mean, I don't know what we're supposed to do with that. I really don't. I'm not going to be surprised at all if Luther Burden's better than Roma Dunze. Like, that's totally feasible. I'm going to have to retweet my Adunze hate. I got to go find my old tweet. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have Matthew Golden ranked ahead of Luther Burden. I'm pretty confident about that. That's a lie. I'm not confident about anything. I'm gonna need to think about that for a bit. We got Saints on the clock here. I would love to see Shedeur Sanders be the pick. The fantasy relevant stuff has been absolutely flying. It's just been a little bit weird, a little bit unexpected. But like, it's kind of insane how much the Bears have done. Like, Ben Johnson got to town and he's like, we are going to make sure Caleb Williams can't fail. Let's sign every single offensive lineman in free agency and draft a wide receiver, draft a tight end. Like, crazy, dude. Oh gosh. The Saints took Tyler Shuck. Oh, shucks. This is insane, dude. I am losing my mind right now, actually. All right. We're gonna keep talking here. The Saints are brain dead. Weirdos. I don't know what they're doing here. Bizarre choice. Absolutely insane. But man, feels bad for Shedeur Sanders. I did want to talk about some of the other rankings changes real quick. So I did move Malik Neighbors up one spot. Yellow, you are one step closer to your agenda being reached. He is now wide receiver 5 in the ranks. I did move him ahead of Brian Thomas. That is the only Brian Thomas movement I'll be doing. I moved Baker Mayfield up a couple of spots, not strictly because of the Igbuka thing. I just feel like he needs to be ranked next to Dak and Brock Purdy. Like, there's no reason to keep it there's no reason to keep him down any further than that, I don't think. Did move Sam Laporta down quite a bit. He is now 60th overall in my ranks. I've got him just up a tier from Kittle, Warren, and Hawkinson. I think arguably he could be actually in that tier, but I'm going to leave him there right now. I did slide. Okay, here's an interesting question, guys. First of all, I think it helps Olave a little bit. I mean, I think Tyler Shuck kind of is terrible, but it's at least something. Like, at least there's some chance to upside, I guess, is what I would say. If he's going before the 3rd round, I don't really want him, but we shall see. Here's an interesting question. Right now I have Igbuka at wide receiver 21 in the rankings. And then I have, in that same tier, Flowers, Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, Jalen Waddle, Xavier Worthy. Do you guys think he belongs above that tier? Do you think he's in that tier? Do you think he's right behind it? I guess the question is, would you trade, if you had Igbuka on your team right now, would you trade him straight up for any of those guys? Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, Xavier Worthy. I don't know. I think I might maybe put him in the middle of that tier. I think I might prefer Addison. I might prefer Smith. Okay, wait. We're going to pause for a second. Austin, I'm calling troll on this because they didn't even have a pick. This is a troll job. Yeah, this is a troll job. Okay. We got Buffalo on the clock. I don't think I missed anything after Shuck. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, Austin's distracting everybody. If you guys want to answer my question, that would be cool. But that's something I'm working with right now. I moved a bunch of guys down to the early 2 tier. I just couldn't justify paying firsts for Chase Brown, George Pickens, Tyreek Hill, Josh Downs, DK Metcalf. So that's just what it is. I moved Jaden Reed down a tier. Obviously moved Jalen McMillan down a tier. Those guys are losers. Cole Kmet down to the shadow. Actually, I didn't move him yet. I just marked him as a guy that needs to move. He's basically worthless. Him and Kate Otten are in the shadow realm. Tucker Kraft also maybe a little bit of a loser as well with the 1st round wide receiver edition. I mean, he's going to get the same opportunity or he's going to get the same route share. Like, it doesn't affect his routes at all, but it is possible he gets fewer targets. If Golden's a better target earner, he could lose some targets. So that's something to consider. I was already behind the market on him, so I don't know like how far I would move him down. Really? He's still going to be my tight end 9. But anyway, those are some of the rankings updates. I feel like it's a little bit difficult actually to focus on this with the draft going on. So do you guys have any other questions about guys that have been drafted or anything you guys want to talk about? I mean, the Tyler Shuck thing is like just goofy to me. I don't like Shadur Sanders, but I think he's a better prospect pretty clearly than Tyler Shuck. And if you're not going to go with Sanders, just go with the full upside swing in Jalen Milroe. I just don't see the point. I don't see the point of Tyler Shuck. It's goofy to me. It's a bad decision. But anyway, that's that. I get the Luther Burden thing from the perspective of like, you can't have too many good receivers, I guess, but I do kind of hate it. I guess there's a question. I don't know. Maybe one of these wide receivers on the Bears gets traded. Jacob Sanderson's position is interesting. He says, if DJ Moore is still on the Bears by week, I'm not sure DJ Moore is still on the Bears by week 1, but if he is, he says he's buying Caleb, he's buying Loveland, tentatively buying Burden and Adunze, doesn't want anything to do with DJ Moore or Cole Kmet. So that lines up with, I don't remember who said it. Tristan, thinking it hurts DJ Moore more. I agree with that. I mean, there were some comps of DJ Moore to Luther Burden, so that makes some sense. It could hurt him the most. He could get traded. There's still a lot of time left tonight. He could get moved. He could get moved tomorrow. We don't know. Komet certainly is dead, and we'll see about Adunze. Like, I really hated the price before. If the price drops enough, I'll buy in. I still think he could be good. I think there's a good chance that he's good. It's just that I didn't like the price. So if it's going to go down, yeah, maybe I'll buy in. And if Burden, I mean, Burden could potentially go very late in rookie drafts. Like, he could be 202, 203. I wouldn't be surprised if Higgins went ahead of him. I'd probably still take him over Jaden Higgins. So there's a chance that I'm buying in. But I agree with the sense of, like, Caleb seems like a great buy. Well, not a great buy in the sense that he's going to be cheap, because, like, he's already been expensive and now he's going to be even more expensive. But he's a great guy to roster where he's going to have every opportunity in the world to succeed. And Loveland, like, he plays a different position, so he still has plenty of opportunity. Bills take a defensive tackle. My light died. Gotta plug it in. Looks bad. Oh, the Bears were on the clock, or the Bears had the pick they traded out. Yeah, I thought they did have 2 picks. I wonder how far they traded back and what they gave up. I didn't see the trade compensation there. To be honest, guys, that was the stuff I mostly wanted to talk about. My current ranks, you know, some winners and losers. Lawrence, big winner as well. I think I'm going to be moving him, maybe moving him up a bit. I think that there shouldn't be quite as wide of a gap between, like, Kyler Murray in that range and the Trevor Lawrence, JJ McCarthy, Cam Ward range. I think that needs to tighten up a little bit. I'm not sure how to do it, but I'm thinking about it. But I think I'm going to sign off here because I'd really like to start kind of tinkering with some of this stuff, the new landing spots, keep updating the ranks, writing down some thoughts while it's fresh on these players. And of course, I will still be in the chat all night, and I'll be tracking this stuff with you guys, and we can talk about it there. But I'm going to sign this thing off. Appreciate you guys tuning in, even though the draft is on, and coming to hang out and talk. Sure, it's going to be a wild rest of the evening. I'm seeing Mason Taylor to the Jets, so we're getting another fantasy relevant pick, a superstar player, but interesting prospect. That was one that was mocked pretty frequently, so that's interesting. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. Appreciate you coming to hang out. Appreciate you, just wanting to hear my thoughts. It's always a cool thing. It's very humbling. So have a good night, everybody. Enjoy the draft. I'll see you in the Discord. Take care.